Hello, today we're going to talk about evaluating function operations. And so this looks sort of like when we've added, subtracted, multiplied, divided, done linear combinations of functions before. But instead of it saying something like find g of x plus f of x, we now see 2's here instead of x's or n's or whatever our variable is. There's a couple different ways you can do this, but I think the most straightforward way is to start by subbing the number into both functions. So like for instance in number 1, since these are 2's, we're going to plug 2 into g, plug 2 into f. And then add, subtract, multiply, divide, whatever, depending on what sign you see in between. So for number 1, since we see a plus sign here, we'll add those two answers together. Let's take a look. Let's start by doing g of 2, which means I'm going to plug 2 into my g function. So g of 2, this n becomes a 2. This n becomes a 2 also, squared minus 1. You can use a calculator to do these. I'm going to just kind of talk my way through them. 2 squared is 4, minus 1 is 3. So I get g of 2 equals 3. Now I need to do f of 2. So f of 2 becomes 2, parentheses 2 instead of n, plus 2. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 2 is 6. And then what I need to do is find g of 2 plus f of 2, which means I need to add those two answers together. So for my final answer, g of 2 plus f of 2 means add the number I got for g of 2, which was 3, plus the number I got for f of 2, which was 6. 3 plus 6 gives me 9. And that's the process. Let's try another one. We have our two equations here. They want us to find h of 7 minus g of 7. So first I'm going to find h of 7. I'll write this off to the side here. I'm going to place a 7 here for x. 4 times 7 is 28, minus 5 is 23. So h of 7 is 23. Now I'm going to find g of 7, so I'm going to put 7 in for x here. Four times 7 is 28, plus 3 is 31. And then because I have a minus sign here, I need to subtract. So to get my final answer, h of 7 minus g of 7, I'm going to take my h of 7 answer, which was 23, minus my g of 7 answer, which was was 31. 23 minus 31 gives me negative 8. Let's try another one. So this time I have g of a, I have f of a. They want us to find g of negative 1 times f of negative 1. Let's start with g of negative 1. G of negative 1 means negative 1 goes in for a. Don't forget to put that negative 1 in parentheses, very important. Squared plus 5. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1, plus 5 is 6. Now I need to find f of negative 1. So that means negative 1 goes in here. So 4 times negative 1 minus 1. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4, minus 1 is negative 5. And then since I see a times dot here, I need to multiply my numbers together. So g of negative 1 times f of negative 1 is 6 times negative 5. 6 times negative 5 is negative 30. Two more. This time we have h function, we have g function. They want us to find h of negative 7 divided by g of negative 7. Start with h of negative 7. Means negative 7 goes in for n. Negative 7 plus 4 is just negative 3. Pretty easy there. G of negative 7. So negative 7 goes here. This n here becomes negative 7 in parentheses. 4 times negative 7 is negative 28, plus 3 is negative 25. This division sign here means I need to divide. So h of negative 7 divided by g of negative 7 is, we can think of this as a fraction, negative 3 over negative 25, or negative 3 divided by negative 25. And then from here, simplify. If you want to leave it as a fraction, 3 over 25 doesn't reduce, but negative over negative becomes positive. So So best final answer for you leaving as a fraction is 3/25 positive. Or if you'd rather write that as a decimal, that is the same as 0.12. I would be perfectly happy with either one. Last one. So the last one's a little tiny smidge trickier. It's the hardest thing we'll see here, but it just involves paying just a smidgen more attention. We're going to start the same way. Let's find g of -8. So this becomes 4 parentheses -8 minus 3. 4 times -8 is -32. Minus 3 is -35. Now I need to find f of -8. -8 goes here and here. Don't forget parentheses when you do the squared. -8 squared plus 2 parentheses -8. -8 times -8 is 64. Plus 2 is 66. And then 2 times -8 is -16. So 66 minus 16 gives me positive 50. Again, feel free to use a calculator for these. Just don't you see me typing into a calculator, that would be weird. All right, now, most of these have just been add, subtract, multiply, divide. Notice that we have 5g of 8 plus 3 f of -8. So to answer that question, instead of g of 8, I'm going to put my g of 8 answer. Instead of f of 8, I'm going to put my f of 8 answer. This is a linear combination since we see numbers in front of both. So 5 times g of -8, so times -35, plus 3 times f of -8, that answer was 50. 5 times -35 is going to be -165. 3 times 50 is 150. So then my final answer here, I'm sorry, that should be -175, not 165. 5 times -35 is -175. Okay? And then to add these two together, I get -25 as my final answer. You could have put this all in your calculator at once if you'd rather, that would be perfectly fine. As long as you end up with -25, I'm fine with however you get there. So again, to deal with evaluating function operations, plug the number, whatever you see inside the parentheses, into both functions, and then add, subtract, multiply, divide, etc. as needed, depending on what sign you see in between your functions. That is it for today. Have a fantastic day.